Hi, this is Nana Hosenfeld with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, September 29th, 2018. Looking at fire potential impacts over the next few days, today we are looking at some gusty winds with low relative humidity across the southern, about 2/3 of the Great Basin. You can see the area of concern highlighted in the map, on the map in orange for today. Winds will be very strong this afternoon. You can see on the map wind speeds are expected to be in the 45 to 55 mile an hour range. So some very gusty winds this afternoon combined with low relative humidity. As we move into Sunday, we'll continue to see gusty winds across the southern part of the area, but relative humidities will begin to increase. And so the main area of concern on Sunday is much smaller. You can just see that smaller orange area where winds are expected to be very strong and relative humidities will be low. Also on Sunday, there will be some light scattered showers across the central Idaho mountains. As we move into Monday, we will begin to see some heavy, widespread showers across the southern part of the Great Basin. Hurricane moisture will be moving into the southern part of the area, and we will see very heavy, widespread showers across much of the area beginning Monday. Over the past 24 hours, there hasn't been hardly any precipitation across the area and no lightning. Now we continue to see abnormally high fire activity across the Great Basin for the time of year. Looking at precipitation over the past 30 days, which is the map on the left, you can see it's been very dry across the entire Great Basin. That light blue color is anything less than 1/10 of an inch, and so really the majority of the Great Basin has seen less than 1/10 of an inch of rain over the past 30 days. Looking back at the past 60 days, you can also see how dry it's been over the 2-month period. Very dry across pretty much the entire area over the past at least 2 months. So we've had an abnormally hot and dry 2-month period. With that abnormally hot and dry weather, our ERCs are at record levels across much of the area. You can see a lot of purples and dark reds on the map, and this is very indicative of how dry it has been and explains why we continue to see the abnormally high fire activity across the area. Looking at two areas in particular, you can see GB9 in eastern Idaho at record levels, and GB32 in southeastern Utah you can see is far above record normals, and ERCs are higher than what we normally see at any point during the summer. So very abnormally high ERCs across much of the Great Basin. The satellite this morning shows some moisture making its way into the Great Basin already. You can see this moisture out ahead of the low pressure system moving into the northern part of the Great Basin. And just at the far southern part of the screen, you can see the beginning hints of Hurricane Rosa. Hurricane Rosa will send her moisture our way early next week. Looking at today in a little more detail, now you can see the really dry air in place across the southern part of the Great Basin. Really strong winds expected ahead of that approaching low pressure system. And again, here you can see Hurricane Rosa. With those gusty winds and low relative humidities, we are highlighting much of the area today for that significant wind potential. Wind speeds are expected to be in that 45 to 55 mile an hour range. You can see from this image on the right, really widespread area of very strong gusty winds. And looking at this image on the left, you can see relative humidities will be below 15% across much of the area that will see those gusty winds. As we move into Sunday, moisture will increase across the area from the south. With that increasing moisture, we are highlighting a smaller portion of the area with those wind concerns. Looking at this in more detail, you can see the wind gust forecast here on the right. Again, we will continue to see gusty winds across much of the area on Sunday, but relative humidities will be coming up. You can see from this minimum relative humidity forecast map on the left, many relative humidities across the southern part of the area, higher than what we're expecting to see this afternoon. By Monday, that moisture from Hurricane Rosa will begin to make its way into the area. You can see this large slug of moisture moving into the southern part of the Great Basin, as well as moisture across the north associated with that low pressure system. And so we kind of have two things combining here, where we have hurricane moisture coming up from the south, combined with a cold front and a low pressure system approaching from the northwest. Now, with the increasing moisture, no areas highlighted for concerns on Monday, and you can see many of our southern areas turning green by Monday. We will still continue to see some gusty winds on Monday afternoon. You can see these gusty winds forecast across portions of Nevada and into western Utah. However, relative humidities will generally be above critical levels. And you can see really how high relative humidities will be by Monday afternoon, with minimum relative humidity values in the 50% range in some places. Over the next 3 days, we will finally begin to see some long-needed precipitation. You can see much of Utah and the southern, about third of Nevada and the Arizona Strip could see some pretty significant rain in just the next 3 days, and this will definitely continue to increase beyond the 3-day period as that moisture increases across the area. Further to the south of the area, you can see those very impressive precipitation amounts from that hurricane moisture, with some areas expecting between 2 and 3 inches of rain. As we move into Tuesday, that hurricane moisture will continue to increase across the north, and that combined with the approaching low pressure system will result in some significant widespread heavy rain across the area. With that widespread heavy rain, you can see many of our areas moving into that green category. By Tuesday, this will mainly be impacting On Wednesday, that moisture continues to remain in place across the area. We will see showers and some isolated thunderstorms across the area into Wednesday with that really deep moisture in place. Then as we move into Thursday, we start to dry out from the south, but continue to keep that moisture in place across the north. And so we will continue to see rain showers across the northern part of the Great Basin into Thursday. As we move into Friday, we begin to see another low pressure system making its way into the area. This is a colder system, and we could even see some snow at the very highest elevations Thursday into Friday with that colder air and moisture in place. So in the 7-day period, pretty significant precipitation accumulation in the forecast. You can see basically the entire state of Utah is expected to see over a ½ inch of rain, some locally higher amounts. Elsewhere in the Great Basin, you can see some very heavy precipitation amounts forecast for southern Nevada, southeastern Idaho, and the Arizona Strip. The areas that will take the biggest precipitation hit will be across about the southeastern 2/3 of the area, where that hurricane moisture will be the deepest. But the entire Great Basin is expected to see precipitation over the next 7 days, which is a pretty drastic change from what we have seen over the past 2 months. In the 8 to 14-day period, the Climate Prediction Center is calling for a continuation of the cooler, wetter weather. This would imply that the abnormally high ERCs and abnormally high fire activity that we have seen over the past few weeks will be coming to an end. So that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our information is on the screen, and you can also find us on Twitter. Thanks.